Scrappy friends, and thank you for joining me. I am going to show you the process of how I made this super cute little card that I call my card on a card. That's what I call it, because you basically are making two cards that you then just stick together. So it looks complex, but it's totally not even a little bit complex. It's so simple. So I'm going to start by that's my cheat sheet that tells me all the measurements of all the things I need to make and cut out and things like that. So if you would like that, shoot me an email and I will send it through to you. And then that is the stamp set I'm using, which is Katie's. I borrowed it off her. Cool Treats from Stampin' Up. And this is the paper. If you are a long-time watcher of our channel and you watched our Advent calendar series, you will know that Katie gifted me this paper and I've really not even used it, barely even opened it. So I thought, why not pull it out for this card making craziness that we're working on at the moment. Now I do want to warn you, I absolutely cut exactly that I have written on my page there that I'm using, but I don't cut it in the same colors that I say I'm going to. I just want to use up the cardstock I have, and I don't want to get a new piece of paper, and I don't have any red left, so I'm just going to use the colors I've got. So I'm starting off by cutting my base, which is the orange. It's in 7 5/8 inches by 4 7/8 inches. And I popped a little score line in that, not in the center, because I do want it to fold off center. Now I'm supposed to be cutting red, but I'm actually going to cut this blue cardstock because one side is blue and the other side is yellow. And I'm thinking that I can get away with using just this cardstock for all the things that say red and all the things that say yellow, because I think I can just swap out the red to be blue and keep the yellow as yellow, so I'm going to cut a whole bunch of stuff using this cardstock. So the first piece I'm cutting now is the base of card number 2, which is 7 inches by 3.5 inches. So that's what that little one there is going to be, and it's folded directly in half. Next I'm going to cut 4 5/8 by 4 5/8. And that's going to be the inside mat of my first card. So then that's the base, yes. So I'm just sort of assembling as I go so I know what I'm doing. Next I'm going to cut 4 5/8. Trim that one down, 4 5/8 by 2.5. And that's going to be the front mat of that first card. Then I'm going to cut 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and then 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that's sort of everything for the cards. And then I need some white, and so the white is going to be 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 and 3 by 3. So 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 and 3 by 3. Okay, then I need my pattern paper. So I use 2 different pattern papers, and it's nice to have contrasting. So I'm using this ice cream pattern paper, and you do want to be aware of cutting it with the pattern going in the correct direction. So do watch that. And the first one I'm going to cut is 4 3/8 by 4 3/8. And then the second one I'm going to cut is 2 1/4 by 4 3/8. I just want to make sure that the pattern paper is facing sort of down. So the short side, the 2 1/4 is, so the 4 3/8 is the direction your pattern is going in. So you want it to be, the long side is the correct way up. Then in the contrasting color, doesn't matter because I'm not using that sort of pattern side. I'm using the green anyway is the right way side, and it is cut at 3 inches by 3 inches. So this is how you're going to assemble your card. You've got your main cardstock, then your mat in one color, and then put your pattern, mat in one color, and then put your pattern. Then you're going to get your second card, and you're going to mat and then white, and then matte, and then pattern paper. And you want to adhere that all together, but don't glue on your white. You want to stamp those separately. So everything has been adhered now with that middle card, with that little card mounted in the middle of your cardstock. Hope that made sense. And now it is time to do some stamping. So I'm going to stamp on the larger piece of white cardstock first, the 3 by 3 inches, and it's going to be the sentiment that goes inside your card. And I'm not a massive write huge messages on my birthday cards kind of person. I tend to write, "Dear Katie, happy birthday. Love, Jess." So I'm going to put a reasonable size sentiment on this card. I didn't on the other one, but I'm going to on this one. So it says happiest birthday, and I'm using a complementary green color that matches the green that's on the very front of the card. And it's a Mementos teardrop ink in olive. Then I'm also adding another little sentiment that says, I hope your day is as sweet as you are. Then once I do that, that can be stuck inside the little card. So you can see that the orange card opens sort of the standard way a card would open with the fold on the left-hand side, but the little card that's mounted in the center, it opens with the fold on the right-hand side. So kind of you got to flip one open to open the other, if that makes sense. And you fold the orange one in first and then the blue one in on top when you're closing your card. It's a cute little way to go. So then popping that in the center, and then the front of my card is going to have quite a bit more stamping. So I'm going to get to town on this. I'm going to stamp with a sentiment again that says, actually I'm making my embellishment first. So I'm going to stamp out an ice cream first. So I'm doing my cone. Then I'm adding on some waffles. Now I'm not a huge stamper. So for me, I had to borrow a whole bunch of stamp sets off Katie. She was a Stampin' Up person, so she's got heaps of stamp sets. But I managed pretty well with what I had at home, actually. And all these Memento teardrop inks I actually got gifted to me from Katie when she became a Stampin' Up person, because she bought a whole bunch of Stampin' Up ones. And I kind of just rolled with what I had. I tended to have a close enough in every color, so I was very lucky in that way. It's not always perfect, but I definitely managed to make it work. So here I'm trying to mimic the ice cream that's on the front of the patterned paper. Now, I'd originally thought in my head I'd make it exactly the same, but it has like 3 or 4 scoops, and that was going to end up being a hugely tall cone. It was going to be way too big for the ephemera that I needed on the embellishment for this card. So I end up only doing 2 scoops, because 2 ends up being more than enough. It is quite a large embellishment. You can see here that it's about 1, 2, almost 3 inches tall now. So it is quite a large embellishment. I'm really enjoying using my We Are Memory Keepers all-in-one tool, because I don't know if you saw then, but when I stamped, I didn't press evenly, and the orange right in the very center stayed white. So I just pushed it back down and pressed again. So cool. Didn't move, didn't wriggle, didn't have to try and line it back up. It was just perfect. So I'm just going to pop a cherry on top here. I didn't love the color of that cherry. It was super, super pink. So I'm going to go back in with a darker red. And then a little stem. This bit's quite boring, really, just watching me stamp. Sorry about that. And I actually just fussy cut this out just using scissors. I don't have a die or anything like that. And I also go ahead and stamp the sentiment page as well. So once that's all stamped, I'm going to stick that onto the very front of my card. And then I've cut out my ice cream and popped it on foam, and now it's going on the front of my card as well. So you can see there it's nearly finished, it's all coming together. I just want to pop a little bit of ribbon down the side, and I'm just using a nice bright ribbon in yellow that's going to tie in with the main sort of base or the border of that front front little square, the front little card. There's a lot going on in this card. There's a lot of pattern papers and a lot of mounting and layering up of the pattern papers. But I think it just gives a really nice and bright, colourful effect. And it really sort of adds to the how much work it looks like this card is, but it's really not all that much work. Just cutting the same thing again and again and again, but just a tiny smidge smaller. So just tying off my bow, you can see that I adhered my ribbon with double-sided tape just so I know it's not going to go anywhere. Cute little bow, trim off the edges, and this card is complete. So I hope that makes sense. Again, if you have any questions at all or just want to know the measurements better or anything like that, make sure you definitely shoot me an email. I would love to explain it to you and send you through the measurements. I will obviously type those down underneath, but sometimes it's a bit confusing. So whatever you need, don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to help. That goes for every single card I have made during this season. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying this process. We've never done cards on our channel before, and I hope that you are enjoying the change. We are, of course, back to our standard programming after December when our advent calendars are finished, but we just thought for a little bit of fun we would change it up a bit. It's definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, but I've had a lot of fun creating and just getting in there and giving it a go. So thank you for watching, and I hope you can join us again tomorrow to see what's coming up next. Bye everyone. Happy days.